Okay, everyone, thank you for being here today for Workforce Solutions Program. We're going to start things off with our partner, Ms. Lahia Iveres, who's with Department of Planning and Development.
Thank you, Audrey. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Ligia Ivares, and I manage the Workforce Solutions Program with the city's Department of Planning and Development, Small Business Development Bureau. And joining me is my colleague, Sarah Beamer, who works closely with me on this program. Thank you all for being here today and for the outstanding work you do as small business owners. Your dedication and drive are what makes Chicago truly exceptional. We deeply appreciate the time, energy, and investment you put not only into your businesses, but also into strengthening the communities around you. We are especially excited to connect with employers and business owners who are committed to growing their teams and investing in talent. We understand that running a business comes with unique challenges, from staying competitive in a fast moving market to attracting and retaining skilled workers. For small businesses, every dollar and every decision matters. That's why programs like this grant are really important. They're designed to help you stretch your training budget further by reimbursing up to 100% of eligible training costs for current employees and new hires, with a maximum grant award of up to $250,000. Whether you're growing your team or helping current staff learn new skills, this program makes workforce development more affordable. We are thrilled to have the Workforce Solutions Program be a resource for our businesses. This is an enhanced iteration of a legacy program that some of you may be familiar with. Over the past few years, we have made significant programmatic improvements that will allow us to support more businesses across the city. Joining us today is our Program Administrator, Employment and Employer Services, who will be walking us through the presentation. If you've had the pleasure of working with them before, you know firsthand how valuable they are in supporting Chicago's small business community. They will be instrumental in guiding applicants through the application process and ensuring smooth project management. Additionally, please don't hesitate to reach out to DPD and use our office as a resource. We're here to support your business, and we're ready to listen and offer support in any way we can. Thank you all again for being here today. I will now turn it over to Anissa Jones, Senior Vice President for E&ES.
Thank you so much, Lahia. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining. As Lahia mentioned, my name is Anissa Jones, and I'm a Senior Vice President of Employment and Human Services with Employment and Employer Services. We're very grateful to partner with the Chicago Department of Planning as their program administrator for the Workforce Solutions Program. E&ES has been around since 1983, and since that time, we've been providing support to Chicagoland businesses and residents for over 40 years. Here, we're dedicated to advancing the economic foundation of communities through a skilled workforce, and we're really happy to partner with DPD to do this for nonprofits and businesses through the Workforce Solutions Grant. As the program administrator, our role will be to oversee the day-to-day operations and work with each of you very closely. We'll provide hand-on technical assistance and support throughout the full life cycle of the grant. And we're really committed to making sure that you're as successful as possible going through this training program and to help you strengthen your workforce through this much needed training and upskilling. We really appreciate you for attending today. And I'll now turn the presentation back over to our program director, Audrey Johnson, who will lead today's presentation.
Hello, everyone. So excited to see you all out today. We want to give you some good information that will help you improve upon your businesses. So we're not going to delay. We're going to jump right in. Please hold your questions until we finish the presentation. Hopefully, I do a good job of answering your questions as we go along. So let's just do a quick overview. What is Workforce Solutions? We're going to talk about eligibility and funding. We're going to give a few examples of grant calculator. We're going to talk about what businesses are ineligible. We'll talk about business location, application process, reimbursement, visits and monitoring, closeout steps, frequently asked questions, additional resources, and then we'll go into our Q&A. Workforce Solutions, what is it? If I had to sum it up in one word, I'd say training, training, training. Workforce Solutions grant covers qualified training for current employees who are looking to upskill, and it also supports new hires with on-the-job training. You can do leadership development, you can have technology skills, certifications, licenses, so much more. Workforce Solutions reimbursement grants are funded through the City of Chicago via the Tax Increment Financing. You'll hear us say TIF funding, or proceeds from the Housing and Economic Development Bond, which you'll hear us refer to that as bond funding. Grants may be funded up to 100% of eligible expenses for businesses seeking to train current employees and or new hires. Eligibility requirements. You must be located in, expanding into, or relocating to the city of Chicago. If you are outside the city of Chicago, then you're not eligible for this grant. Workforce training for W-2 permanent or part-time staff. So you have to have staff who are W-2, and they must be either you're hiring them into a permanent full-time position or a permanent part-time position. Committed to remain in the community for at least 3 years. So if you know you're moving in a year, don't apply for the grant until you're in your new location, because the expectation is that you will be in that location for 3 years. You have to be financially prepared to pay upfront all of your training costs, the fees for your staff. We do not fund salaries. You get a bonus back on funds for hiring new hires as a part of the grant, but we do not pay for a salary for a year for your staff. And as an owner, you have to be financially prepared to pay for your third-party trainers who are going to come in and upskill your staff. And you have to be able to pay for the cost of your staff if you're going to do new hires. $250,000 is the grant limit, and that's over a 3-year period. Does it mean you can apply for 250 each year? No. It means that at the first year you apply for 50,000 or 75,000, and then you say, well, now I'm doing new hires and I want to come back the second year and apply. You can apply up to 250 over the 3 years. If in the first year you actually applied for 250,000, you would not be, and you got it, you wouldn't be able to come back until 3 years. So that's the 3-year limit. If your organization is women-owned and or minority-owned, please be sure to complete the WBE-MBE question within your application. Many people think for you to utilize this status that you have to be formally certified or registered with that certification. You do not. This selection on our application is based on your self-identification. Eligible industries. Now, of course, this list doesn't encompass everybody, but it gives you a good idea of which type of businesses we do support: non-for-profits, food service, tourism, hospitality, healthcare and life sciences, manufacturing and industrial, information technology, real estate, finance, insurance, retail, energy, education and training, transportation, distribution, and logistics. If you're not sure if your business would qualify, please reach out to us. What will Workforce Solutions fund? The Workforce Solutions program can fund training for your current employees, training for leadership development, training for industry specific, training and supplies, but the supplies must be associated with the training itself, like workbooks and things like that that tie right into the training. There is some funds for rental of equipment, like if you needed to rent a forklift to do a training for multiple people. It's a short period of time. You use it for training and then it's returned. That is possible. Also, keep in mind you can have a customized training that's created for your agency, but the city does need to keep a copy of that as well. And then there's the new hire on the job. If you're hiring Chicago residents and you have that planned in your application to do new hires, as they're working each week, you are documenting that, but we only support the return of their funds or the reimbursement of their funds up to 3 months. So these are all of the things that can be funded through the Workforce Solutions. I want to talk a little bit about the application. We use the submittable platform for application support. So even when we talk a little bit later about the pre-application, you're going to be creating that password and login on submittable. but everything is important that you are communicating through the submittable portal. Please make sure that you have some things in play before you apply. Make sure that you are working with third-party vendors to complete the training, the upscaling, the licensing. Ensure that you actually have possession of the space already. If you don't have your business license tied to the space, if you don't have possession of the space, it might not be a good time for you to apply. You want to wait until you have those things in place. Make sure that you have the appropriate levels of insurance and can provide a COI and a business license with your business address in play. So our team will work with you on the application. If you have more questions about that, reach out to us. I want to do a shout out for all businesses that are in the restaurant industry. We are making some changes with the Workforce Solutions, and we have special conditions or support for businesses who are restaurants in the city of Chicago. Please reach out to us so we can share that information with you about different training, providing policies and things that are in place specifically for the restaurant industry. I want to go through a few examples because I've stated before, this is a reimbursement grant, which means you pay for the costs up front and the city reimburses you for those costs. So the Workforce Solutions Program, as a reimbursable grant, can fund up to 100% of total eligible project costs up to a standard or maximum of 250,000 without going over the 250. So projects who are get 100% reimbursement are those that are between or up to, I'm not going to say between, but up to 1.5 million in annual size. So if you're 1.5 million in annual sales and below, you can get 100% of your eligible costs covered. If you have a maximum of 40 full-time employees and you're in an industrial type of environment, you can get 100% of your costs paid for. And all non-for-profits, regardless of your annual sales or income, you get 100% of your eligible costs. There are two other examples where organizations who are a certain financial threshold will be either at a 25% match or 50% match. So those that are commercial that are up to 5 million, so from 1.5 to 5 million in annual sales, or you have a maximum of 125 full-time staff, you will be showing us a 25% match. For those that are at 50%, that means you exceed over 5 million in annual sales. And if you're in an industrial field, that you have more than 125 full-time employees. But keep in mind, the contribution match is based on your business size and your annual sales. But it is not dollar for dollar. It is not saying that you have to pay us 25% cash of what your total grant amount is. But you are going to show us in expenses how you support your own training program. So those different contributions can look like the wages for staff used to assist with training. So if you got managers in, they're running the training, the grant is not paying for them, then that's part of your match that can be shown as your match. If there are materials and supplies that the grant doesn't pay for, that you're going to be paying for, that also can show where you're contributing financially. That can go towards your 25% or your 50% match. And the biggest one, wages, where you're paying your staff, hey, come over here and sit in training, and I'm paying you your salary every day. All of that can go towards showing your contribution to your match and how you're supporting your own training program as well. So let's look at some real life examples, right? This is an example of a 25% match. So Lori, she has an application for Workforce Solution. She's in a TIF community, a funded community. She is proposing training for a total eligible cost of $100,000. This is all for her incumbent and her current staff. And over the past 3 years, Lori's hospitality business has grossed 4 million in annual sales. So she is between 1.5 million and 5 million. She's in between. So she would be a 25% match. How does that break down? She's applying for $100,000 from Workforce Solution. She's over the 1.5 million, but under the 5 million, she's a 25% match. And then she's granted the grant of $100,000, but she's going to show us in salaries and materials and other ways that she supported her program where she matched us at 25,000. This example is at the 50%, very similar. Sam submits his application. He's in a funded TIF area. He's proposing eligible costs up to $200,000 for 20 employees to get a certification in manufacturing. His manufacturing company employs over 250 employees. So his breakdown is he's asking for $250,000 in training funds. He's over the 125 employees. So this puts him at a business contribution of 100,000. Now, is he paying us $100,000? No, but he's showing how he's assigned 3 managers who are going to be working with their training program, so their salaries can be added to that. He's paying these 20 people to show up to training and complete the training hours. He can show that in other cost and materials that he needed for them to go through, where he's showing us how he got to that $100,000, which is his 50% match contribution. And then there's the zero match, right? And we talked about them early on. Jessica, she applied for the grant as well. She's in a funded TIF area, and she's a non-for-profit. She serves the homeless at shelters throughout the city of Chicago. She's proposing a trainee with the total eligibility cost of $125,000. She wants both incumbent training for her current staff for licensing, and then she needs to hire 2 new hires that are going to be coming on and going through the on-the-job training, which means they're just showing up for work every day. They're teaching them the job along the way, and that entitles them to getting some funds back. But over the last 3 years, her non-for-profit has only grossed $450,000. So this puts her under the 1.5 million. So she has zero match that she has to show. So her breakdown is she's asking for 125, she's granted 125,000, and there is no match that she has to show. There are some businesses that are ineligible for Workforce Solutions. Those would be chain businesses like McDonald's, Jewel's, Walmart, branch banks, employment agencies, religious worship institutions, currency exchanges, payday loan stores, pawn shops, astrology palm reading stores, K through 12 schools, gas stations, residential run businesses. I've had a lot of people ask about residential run businesses and online businesses. If you're online only or residential, then you are not allowed to apply for this grant. Liquor stores, bars, nightclubs, smoke shops, cigar lounges, adult uses, firearm stores, shooting ranges, massage parlors, hotels and motels, residential storage warehouse, track waging facilities, trailers, storage yards, and junkyards. And of course, this list is not inclusive of all those that are ineligible. If you ever have a question, please reach out to us and we'll let you know. Location, location, location. If you look at this map, all of the colored pieces are all of the current TIFs that are open and have funding for the Workforce Solutions grant. Of course, it's not the whole city, but you can see that a lot of the city is being covered by this effort. The grant program is open citywide, whether you're TIF or bond. TIF means you fall into one of these areas. Bond means you're outside of those areas. So that way they're kind of covering the whole city. And there is a difference between TIF funding and bond funding. TIF applications are open a year round, and it's more like a first come, first serve. and hopefully you can get funded before all of the money in the TIF has been exhausted. If you are a bond person, which means you fall outside of the TIF areas, it is a little bit more competitive. We have 4 cycles throughout the year, 3 of which have closed. So cycle 1 and 2 closed earlier this year, and then on July 30th, our cycle 3 closed. So all applications that were turned in from July 1st to July 30th are now being scored, and those candidates will find out if they are funded. But the next and final cycle for the year is bond cycle number 4, which opens on October 1st, 2026. So if you put a pre-application in today and we check your address and we determine that you are in a bond area, you're going to get a bond application, but not until October 1st. If you've applied in the past in one of the other cycles and were not chosen, you're still eligible to write for the 4th cycle, but you do have to put in a new pre-application. Once that pre-application is received, then on October 1st, you will get a bond application to complete, and it must be in no later than October 30th. So any business or non-for-profit that is eligible for bond must submit that application between October 1st and October 30th. If you submit that on August 30th, you will not be eligible for anything. You won't be in the running for the bond funding. So please pay attention to that. If you have a bond application right now because you were in a different cycle, even if you submit it now, it will not be to your benefit. It's kind of wasting your time because that portal does not open up until October 1st and it ends on October 30th. If you apply for an earlier cycle, like I said, you must complete a new pre-application so that your new bond application can be separated. Businesses outside of these districts are encouraged to contact us for guidance or steps. There's our email. This is to our Workforce Solutions email. Feel free if you have questions to reach out to us. I'm not going to read this huge list, but this is great news because we did add 66 TIFs this year to the Workforce Solutions program. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to kind of scale this list so you can see if you think one of these areas are near you and you want us to double check. Once you complete the pre-application and submit it in, we'll let you know. We go through the city's clearinghouse and they let us know if you fall into any of these TIF districts. We currently have 77 TIF districts that are open, but I do want to bring your attention to the ones that have asterisks behind them. These are TIFs that are planned to close on December 31st, 2026. So TIFs don't stay open forever. And if you are in an area and your TIF closes after the year closes out, then you would be eligible for bond because that TIF doesn't exist anymore in your area. But for right now, you can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, potential 8 potential TIFs that are closing for December 2026. So please take note of that. Attention for those expiring TIFs. If your TIF is expiring on December 31st, there's some updates and details that will be very important for you. So we are no longer, the date has already passed for any new applications to come in for those expiring TIFs. It's because you don't have enough time. It's already August and it closes in December. But anybody who was already in the process and approved and they've been working on their documentation, you still needed to have your documentation in and submitted by close of business on July 14th, 2026. Training for any grant that is pending in a expiring TIF, all documentation, all completed training, Completed training must be done no later than November 9th, 2026, because you have to go through the closeout process, and that will take you to the end of the year. These are the TIFs that are currently expiring as well, and a shorter list just so you can look at them. Business location. Not in the TIF district, apply anyway, and E&ES will discuss any options with you about other potential funding opportunities. In a TIF district with no funding, not currently eligible for workforce solutions, but E&S will notify you when funding or future funding is available. We still have people today that are in TIF areas that are not open yet for workforce solutions. So we got these additional 66. It's possible that other TIF areas are going to continue to open since there's over 150 TIFs throughout the city of Chicago, and we currently are only open in 77. That's called waitlisted if you are in a TIF, and we're just waiting for your area to open up with funding. All are welcome to apply throughout the city. Upscaling and training, if that's what's needed for your employees, this is a great grant for you. If you're going to be hiring new hires anyway, why not take advantage of the bonus that you're going to get back from the Workforce Solutions program? But again, you still have to be able to pay for those salaries for the year, and you get back the bonus of 13 weeks of salary that can be returned as a part of the grant. We have a website page set up for Workforce Solutions. This is a good way for you to get at the submittable application as well, because the grant is on the submittable platform. If you already have a login and password for that, you can use it. And then once you log in, you're going to be looking for the 2026 Workforce Solutions grant. And if you're on our website page, which we're going to give you a few times before the presentation is over, you can look at the policy and procedures. They're right here next to it where it says submit application. You would click on that, and it automatically takes you out to the platform for submittable. Next slide. So if you look here on your right, you can see this where it says 2026 Workforce Solutions Program Grant Application. So you see all of this text at the top, and then you're going to scroll all. Now this is after you created your password and login. Then you're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then you're going to see questions about, it's like your name, your business address. Real quick, maybe take you 2 or 3 minutes. You answer 3 questions, you hit submit, and then that way we send your address and everything through the city. We verify if you are bond funding or TIF funding, and then we send you the appropriate application. Then you work to get your application in a timely manner. But once you're on submittable with your password and login, then you're going to look for the 2026 Workforce Solutions Grant. Then you're going to complete the pre-application, and then you're going to submit your actual application. I would probably say after your pre-application, it'll be a couple of days, you'll see your application pop up in your submittable platform. And then once you have completed your application, it will take about 1 or 2 weeks to actually get a response from us saying that, okay, you're approved for eligibility, you're in a funded TIF, or whatever your situation is. All communications pertaining to the grant should be sent through the submittable platform. You're going to see me give you my email, Lahia Everez email, but when you're asking any questions or sending any documents, we really want you to make sure that you send that through the submittable platform. I'm going to walk through quickly our application process just so you can get a good understanding for it. Keep in mind the timeline is tentative. A lot of things are happening with the city in the process, so we want to make sure that everybody's paperwork and everything is accurate. That does take some time, but I will say A lot of earnest too is back on you all as business owners to make sure that you get your information back to us in a timely manner, because that can really drag out your process. You're going to be given deadlines when stuff is submitted. I ask that you make sure that you can hit those deadlines, and if not, ask for an extension. But if you get to the point where you are non-responsive and not turning in your support documentation, you can be withdrawn from the process. So in the beginning, once your application is actually submitted, you can hear about eligibility to move you forward within 1 or 2 weeks. Within those 2 weeks, you're going to be submitted 3 emails. They're going to explain what documentation you need to submit to be approved through the city for a contract. You're going to submit those documentation in probably 1 or 2 weeks. A manager is going to work with you on processing the paperwork. Then it's going to go under review. And once everything is in good shape and you meet all of the city requirements, you're going to be sent a recipient agreement that you're going to get, which is your signed contract, in about 3 to 4 weeks after you've submitted your documentation. Then in about 3 weeks, they're going to process and execute the contract, which is called the conditional award letter. After you submit the application and you're notified that you're going to move forward, you're going to complete what's called a training needs assessment. It's like when you look across your whole agency and what needs you actually, what types of training you actually need, from the front of the house to the back of the house. Applicants are going to proceed with the training and the required documentation. Our managers are going to work hand in hand with you, make sure all of your paperwork meets the requirements. Once all of your documentation have been reviewed by E&ES staff, and then it's going to be reviewed by the city DPD staff, then you're going to be given a recipient agreement to sign. Once that's signed and executed with E&ES, you'll be notified when you can start training and start your hiring once you receive your conditional award letter. Very important that before you apply, make sure that you don't have any debt with the city. There is an extensive search that's done through all city departments to make sure that an applicant is in compliant with the child support laws, that there are no debts owed to the city, and that you all complete an economic disclosure statement, which can be done on the city's website page. Applicants who have outstanding city debt will be required to resolve the debt or demonstrate significant progress towards resolution before the applicant can move forward. So you can either be on a payment plan or you can pay your debt off, but it will hold you back from moving forward if you do owe debt to the city. Here's just a list of a lot of the required documents. It's not a full list, but it has majority of things that you should be planning to turn in and complete. The needs assessment, again, is sent to you in those emails after you're approved for eligibility. Proof of revenue for 3 years, 2023, 2024, and 2025. Certificate of insurance that shows what your insurance eligible amounts are. You have to be you have to be in line with what the city's requirements are for insurance for general liability and workman's compensation. Program policy and procedures. I showed you where the procedure manual is on our website page. You're going to get to the bottom of that document and there's a signing page that says you've read the policy and procedures. You're going to send that in. Economic disclosure statement, you go and fill that out online through the city website page and they give you a certificate that you've completed it. Principal profile is for the principal people in your agency or business. Child support affidavit, copy of your business license, monitoring tool saying that you understand we're going to be coming out and doing visits on your site. Your Arch banking information is vital because we want to be able to send your reimbursements directly to your company, to your bank account. And then when you are working with third-party trainers, you're going to need to get and from them a training curriculum, a schedule of any training that they're planning to do with your agency, resumes for the trainers that they're going to send on site to work with your agency, and references for your training business so that we can check how did you show up as a trainer. Training costs and estimates. The quote is very important, and that's a part of your application as well. Then for any new hires, full job descriptions for any new hire position that you're bringing on. So reimbursement for your eligible costs. There's a vouchering process that takes place where your documentation is submitted for reimbursement, but it must come after training has ended. So I found a person, they're going to come in and do some AI training for my organization, and we're going to get certified in AI development. And once that training session ends and you've paid that provider in full, then you can submit the receipt, the invoice to our office, and we will invoice on your behalf. The same way with new hires, I just hired 3 people. They've been working for the last month. So I'm going to provide you with pay stubs so that I can get my reimbursement. And keep in mind, I'm a minimum wage for the city of Chicago just went up on July 1st. It's 1705. It was 1660. So make sure when you're doing the application that you're accounting for the correct rate. The rate of pay, the minimum rate of pay is 1705. We also are capped at $20 an hour. So if you do have staff that you hire and you're paying them $25 an hour, you're still capped at 20 with a minimum of 1705. That's for your reimbursement. You can pay people whatever you want, but your reimbursement is capped at $20 an hour. Frequency for your incumbent worker training, up to 3 vouchers. You're going to get a year contract. So over the year, you figure maybe each quarter you're doing some type of training. As you complete those trainings and you paid those people and you collected the invoices, then you can voucher all of this. It can be multiple trainings that you do in that time period, but we're looking for you to voucher at least 3 times during the year of the contract. For your on-the-job people who are showing up to work every day, you're going to get reimbursed up to 13 weeks, 3 months of their salary. But keep in mind, you can do that monthly. So you can, they worked 4 weeks, and every 2 weeks they got a pay stub. That's for the month. So every month you could turn in that pay stubs until you get the maximum of 13 weeks. And then retention and closeout. Reimbursement for your costs. Step 1, documents submitted for reimbursement. Voucher forms are completed by us. You need to provide an invoice and the receipts and your proof of payment. That can be a lot of different things. Then for each time you're doing an actual training where a trainer is coming out or you're attending training online, you need to have a sign-in sheet that's dated, how many hours of training you completed, and who actually did the training. Regarding OJT only, proof of payment for us is the pay stubs. Step 2, review and approve all submitted documentations by E&ES and then by DPD. Then reimbursement can take 6 to 8 weeks pending voucher, and documents are accurately completed because we end up having to send documents back and have people resubmit documents so that they're correct, and that slows your whole process down. Visits and monitoring, you would agree upon the monitoring and check-ins that we're going to have to do, submission of required attendance and wage reports, schedule visits where we'll come out, sit in training, observe training, participate, business stays in the community for at least the 3 years after having received the grant, and then agreed upon annual follow-up discussions for 3 years to discuss business needs post-training. Follow-ups can be both phone calls and or emails. Closeout steps. Closeout report and final voucher documents must be submitted when all training has been complete for the year. Training business goals will be noted at the start of the contract period. So we work on closeout report in the beginning of the contract, and then we see, did you meet those goals at the end of the contract? The closeout report provides a summary of what the trainings accomplished, what type of impact they had, what was returned on the investment, and any challenges faced throughout the process. Pending funding grant agreement, applicant may be eligible for an additional 2% administration compensation upon completion of the closeout report. Here's our frequently asked question. You're going to get a copy of this after the presentation is over. We're going to email everyone who's on the call today, and you'll get a copy of this along with a copy of the presentation that we just watched, as well as the video. I want to give you some additional resources that might be a benefit to you. So you can apply for these grants at the same time you're applying for Workforce Solutions as well. The Small Business Improvement Fund is a grant funding for permanent building improvements and repairs. Program participants can receive grants to cover between 30% and 90% of the cost of remodeling work, with a maximum grant of $150,000 for commercial properties and $250,000 for industrial properties. The NOF, Neighborhood Opportunity Fund, leverages funds generated by new development in the loop to support corridors in the Chicago's underserved neighborhoods. The NOF provides grants for up to $250,000 for businesses and property owners to pay for the construction or rehabilitation of properties that support new or expanding fund businesses or cultural assets. Community Development Grant, CDG, covers eligible new construction and renovation through proceeds from the 2024 Housing and Economic Development Bond and other funding sources. CDGs are available at 3 funding levels to support local commercial and light manufacturing projects via the small, medium, and large grants. The Business of Fair and Consumer Protection. If you're not a part of this, I encourage you to join. They are full of resources for business owners. They keep you on top of any requirements and things. They have a lot of opportunities for people. So it serves as a key resource for Chicago businesses. It gives you training, guidance, and webinars to support your growth and compliance. Learn more about BACP programs and services by visiting chicago.gov.bacp. It has been my pleasure to go over this information with you and make sure that you all are very versed and you understand the different components of the Workforce Solutions Grant. Again, my name is Audrey Johnson. I'm the program director. Here's my phone number on the slide, our Workforce Solutions email, and the website page. As well, there's information here for the Department of Planning and Development for Lahia Alvarez. She's the coordinator of economic development, and her information is there as well. We do look forward to hearing from you. I am going to encourage everybody to fill out the pre-application today if you're interested in moving forward, so that we can check your address right away and get back to you with an application. Keep in mind, bond applications will be sent out on October 1st if you come back in a bond area. Again, it's been my pleasure to do the presentation with you all. Looking forward to see many of you all submit applications and move forward in the process. Thank you for being here today, and please follow up with our team if you are in need of any more information.